Hello and welcome to my gaming collection tour video. I will post this on my main channel, moviedudeinc, and I will post it on my gaming channel as well, gamingfanmark. So anyway, without further ado, everybody knows this side of the room, all my physical media treasures and such. Well, I don't think anybody knows the other side of the room. This is pretty much what I look at every single day, basically. So we're going to take a look at all the games that I have, at least at the time that I'm recording this, my game consoles, how my TV's set up and everything, and we will take a look at that. So how did all this start? It kind of started around 2011 where I heard about this gaming store. It's like retro gaming store, and it's basically been just a part of my life ever since. I had been collecting ever since then, and even though I don't have like the biggest collection, it suits me fine. It's okay. But anyway, we're gonna take a look at all of that later. So I'm gonna break this up into two parts. The first part is gonna be the consoles I have and how it's all set up, and the second part will be the games themselves. So how does all of this work? Well, the TV I have is a Samsung Series 5 TV. It's basically a smart TV. And it suits me fine. It's got, 1080p, 60 FPS. It has two HDMI ports, which I'm going to come back to later. And, it suits me fine. It suits my needs. I don't need that big a fancy TV. Although I did hear about like 4K TVs are a little cheaper now, but I don't know. Maybe down the road. But anyway, so anyway, how are all these consoles hooked up to one TV? Well, this is not actually all of them. These are not all the systems I have in my collection. I have about maybe like 15, I think. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9... 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18... I think I have about like maybe 20 or 22 different systems, but they're not all hooked up right now. So how do all of these hook up to one TV? Well, let's check out the systems that are hooked up right now, and we will see. So I'm not really much of a gamer per se. I never really was. Some people in my inner circle think I am, but I'm not. And it took them years before they understood that I'm not really a gamer type. Like, I play video games. I started a show called Video Game Celluloid, and that's been working pretty decently so far. But I'm not really someone who dedicates hours and hours and hours of their time to a game or whatever. I'm really more of a productive kind of person and a cinema person, so that's really what I'm about. But video games are an essential part of physical media. They are an essential form of entertainment. So I am obliged to collect video games and such. So anyway, let's start over here. I broke this up into 3 different shelves. So this main stand right here, that I think I got this from Walmart, I think, is shelf 1. Over there is shelf 2, and over here is shelf 3. So we're going to start with shelf 3 first. So this is the Sega Genesis, the Model 2. Yes, I do. I do have a 32X attachment. I do. I have a 32X attachment. I'm actually looking for the Sega CD right now. I don't have it at the moment, but anyway, so that's the Genesis Model 2. I do have a Model 1 Genesis, which I displayed in my Sonic the Hedgehog Video Game Celluloid episode, but I'm not going to be keeping that for long. I might get rid of it. And then we have the Dreamcast, which is a very, very misunderstood system. There's a VCR right there that my friend Shree gave me. There's a GameCube right there, but it's not hooked up at the moment. I'm actually looking for a way to replace the analog port on here with a digital one, so that I can do like component video. Excuse me. There's the PS Classic right there. Yeah, but PS Classic, unless you find a way to customize it and, you know, mod it and everything, like what my friend made for me, it's not that great, especially given the fact that Sony basically just rushed it out the door to capitalize on, like, excuse me, the NES Classic, the SNES Classic, and the Sega Genesis Mini, which I do want to get. I also want to get the Commodore 64 Mini, the TurboGrafx 16 Mini, and the SNES Mini. Anyway, now let's go to shelf number 1. We have the PS3, which this is actually my new PS3. My friend Shree, he gave me his old Fat model, the first model, and I tried it, and it constantly made this loud, like, whirling sound within the first, 10 minutes, so I couldn't really enjoy it, sadly. But the Model 2 PS3 I've had for a couple years now, and it's working beautifully. It's quiet, it has a much bigger storage space, and on top of that, you know, it's sleek, you know, it fits well. And also, I do have 2 controllers. One of them is the 6-axis one. Yeah, it's this one right here, the 6-axis one. And I have a standard one. Both of these aren't working the best because of my Tomb Raider video, which it's been on the back burner for a while. I'll get back to it eventually. But yeah, PS3 is great. And the fact that the store is still up is a miracle. You know, considering what the Xbox 360, what Microsoft did with the 360 store, and what Nintendo did with the Wii Shop and 3DS store. Anyway, next is the original Xbox, which I've had for a number of years now. Pretty good. I actually just got component cables with this. I basically have 2 of them by accident, so maybe I'll get that out. Get rid of it. And then here's my NES, the original model. Right now I have Jaws. I actually got this fixed. I took out the lockout chip that was causing a lot of problems with this system. And while the lockout chip was great, it had a side effect where it was also affecting licensed games. So it was to prevent unlicensed games from being played, and then it affected licensed games, and yeah, it wasn't working anymore, so I had to go. I also fixed the pin connectors on this, so now it's working great, as long as I don't push the game down into the system. But anyway, the NES is great. Great console. Next we have the Atari Jaguar, which, funny, a friend of mine actually saw this, and he said, I've never seen an Atari Jaguar in person, which is just funny. But Jaguar is actually not that bad of a system at all. It's misunderstood a lot of the time. There are some great games for it, like, as you can see, Alien vs. Predator, Cybermorph, Tempest 2000, Doom. So there are good games for it. I think I have like 3 or 4 games for it, so I need to get some more. And then next we have my pride and joy, the PS4. This is my favorite system of all time. You know, just the amount of games for it, the great image and sound quality, 1080p, 60 FPS, the vast library of games for it, the power that this thing possesses. Oh, I love this. And the fact that it runs classic games pretty well. If you get them from the PlayStation Store, part of a PlayStation Plus kind of thing, which unfortunately my PlayStation Plus subscription's expired at the moment, so I need to renew that. The classic games that they have on there actually look really great. So this baby does it all. It's fantastic. I love it so much. I actually use it as my main DVD and Blu-ray player. I'm not kidding. This is a Seagate 8 terabyte hard drive, which is vital if you want to have like a vast library of games for it. Shelf number 2. Excuse me. Shelf number 2, we have the Super Nintendo SNES, the PS2, the Slim model, Nintendo 64, the Xbox 360, which I did clean this recently. It was like a dust city in there. It still makes like a roaring sound whenever there's a disc in it, but at least it's cleaner now. But Nintendo Wii, which I have had ever since 2009, I still actually have the original box that it came in, so that's cool. The Atari 2600, the only game console that I won on eBay. There's the box for the PS Classic and some promotional cups there. And this right here, okay, I don't know how many of you know what this is. This is the IntelliVoice voice synthesis module. And you're probably wondering, what on earth is that? Well, it basically, at the time that this came out, in I think 82, I think, Intellivision, which I'm going to get back to that in a second. If I can get it out here, hang on. Yeah, here it is. Mattel created a accessory for the Intellivision that allowed certain games to actually speak to you. The problem was that there are only 5 games compatible with this, B-17 Bomber being one of them. I don't think I have that one. Anyway, but the voice quality at the time was very robotic, kind of sound like this. B-17 Bomber. It sounded like that, yeah. It was good at the time. Right here is one of my more recent projects finally fixed. The Xbox 360 HD DVD drive. Now, this is a little different. I did take the side plate off, which is over there, just in case I need to repair it again. This repair cost me $70, but I don't care. I finally have an HD DVD player that actually works. This played HD DVDs for the Xbox 360, while the PS3 had a built-in Blu-ray player. Microsoft had to have this separate. They released this as a separate add-on, and this caused issues with Xbox 360 owners and those who wanted to get into HD DVD because, there was this format war going on between like 2006 and 2009, between DVD, Blu-ray, and HD DVD, and those who were stuck with HD DVD, they had to buy this like separate add-on thing. So yeah, it annoyed some people, but I do need to get some more HD DVDs to really use it properly. And then we have a PS5. Yes, I know what it looks like. I know I said in one of my videos that I wasn't going to buy a PS5, but I finally got one, and I'm glad I did. And yes, I got the one with the disc drive, thankfully. And finally, we have the Xbox One over there, and the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch was gifted to me by a good friend of mine. Thank you, Cam. Anyway, so yeah, I don't have any games for the Nintendo Switch right now. I will get some down the line. And over here, we have the top loader NES, which I still like, minus that. The ColecoVision, and the Atari 5200, one of the most infamous pieces of garbage that Atari ever put out. The biggest problem? Well, on top of the fact that the game library consisted of basically re-releases of their previous games, this controller, yes, it had 360 analog stick, which is great, and it had a pause button. The problem is that these controllers were incredibly faulty to the point where you couldn't even get past the menu half the time. So I just have it as a relic, basically. Now getting back to the question, how do all of these connect to one TV? Well, the thing is that they're all connected in different ways. So anything that's coaxial, so let me show you what I'm talking about. Anything that's coaxial, so basically something that looks like this, that's a little bit tricky nowadays because, let's be honest, most TVs nowadays, they don't allow you to hook up a coaxial system to one of these TVs anymore. So basically, how to get around this is there's a coaxial plug on the back of a VHS player, and by switching it to that appropriate channel, you can watch VHS. You can basically play a coaxial system on there. The issue is sometimes the image quality will get a little fuzzy on the TV. I'm not entirely sure why that is. It just is, and I don't have any explanation for it. The only system that's hooked up by now is the Atari 2600. Basically, because the 2600 cable is so long, I basically found a way to wind it up, basically stretch it out all the way under there and back to the VCR. But anyway, any coaxial system, you just plug it into the VCR and that way it'll work. So for composite, the classic yellow, white, and red cables, I found this. This is an 8-way switcher. And what's great about this is that you actually don't... What's great about this particular one, which you can find is on Amazon for, I think, like $25, I think. For this one specifically, I recommend this one because you do not need to plug anything in, which is beautiful. You do not need to plug anything in. The less cords running around, the better. So basically how it works is you plug... let's see if I can... I don't know if you can see this, but anyway. So basically all the cables and stuff, they go... So you just plug one of these into here. And I don't know if you can see this real well. But anyway, you plug one of these into there, and you can switch for different channels. So right now it's on NES, but if I wanted to play like Nintendo 64, for example, I just push one of these buttons lightly and then push Nintendo 64. There you go. I actually have an extra slot open, just in case I want to plug in something else. But anyway, but I'm going to leave that out for now. Oh, that's the switch controller thingy. For a component video, now this is where it gets interesting. For component video, sorry it's a mess back here. Basically, these cables right here, this like blue, green, red, and white cables. So these are the component cables. Basically, because this particular TV right here, the biggest problem with this TV specifically, the Series 5, is there's no way to like have composite and component running at the same time. So there's no way that you can actually have composite and component video running at the exact same time. So the only solution you can do is if you unplug the composite and then plug in a component cable. So right now the only component cables I have are for the Wii, the PS2, and the original Xbox. But I can only plug in one at a time. There are component switchers. I actually found out there are component switchers. The problem is there's only one type of component switcher I know that does not use any external power, and it's a freeway. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out. Now for HDMI, this is where things get kind of interesting because this TV has another problem where there are only 2 HDMI slots. Only 2. So I can only plug in 2 at a time unless I get this. This is a freeway HDMI switcher. And what's great about this is that it doesn't need external power, but you do need to... The power for this is basically running into the TV's USB port. So you don't need to really plug anything in. You don't need to. So that I think is a really cool idea, but you don't need to plug in anything. So right now, my PS3, 4, and 5 cables are hooked up. So, and right now my Xbox 360 is hooked up. But let's say I want to play Nintendo Switch. on my TV. So what do? Well, what I do, you can either A, be satisfied with 4 slots instead of like 2, or you could buy 2 of these, but I don't recommend it because of I don't know how much power that takes. But anyway, so you can get yourself one of these, and it works beautifully well. This essentially taps into the HDMI signal into the console. And what's great is that, let's say for example, I was playing PS4, but I want to play PS5. Well, I don't need to push any buttons on this, even though there is a button. No, it'll do it automatically. So you don't have to press any buttons, which is beautiful. My friend has one of these, I have one of these, and I encourage you to get one of them too. You could get 2 if you want and just daisy chain them together if you want, but I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that's really the only thing. But yeah, HDMI is essentially the dominant format. HDMI is essentially the dominant format right now. So yeah, if I want to convert these to HDMI, that's going to be a mammoth undertaking for sure, but I don't think it's entirely possible. I think there's the one common misconception about video game systems is that you basically have to convert everything to HDMI, and that just isn't the case. You could easily convert some of these to component video, and they'll look great. The vast majority of the systems here are composite, and they look great. So when people talk about these things of like, you know, frame rates and all that jazz, frame rates and lag and things like that, I just don't really understand it because to me, if everything's running fine, you know, like, I don't know. I'm just not really that detail-oriented when it comes to these things. So if you ever notice these things and if you know any tips on how to improve my setup here, please let me know in the comments below.